We played hundreds of games this year, a lot of them brand new to us.
But which of them were our favorites?
This is our top 10 new to me board games of 2023. To make this list, we had to play the game for the first time in 2023. Doesn't mean it's a brand new game, just means it's brand new to us. How'd you come up with your list, Lee?
I use this online tool where I take the whole list and just one at a time it goes, this one or this one? Okay, this one or this one? You just do that like hundreds of times and then eventually it spits out what your list is.
I just went with my gut and kind of chose what I felt, so it'll be interesting to see how our lists compare. Here's number 10. My number 10 is World Wonders.
My number 10 is Jurassic World: Legacy of Isla Nublar.
I really like World Wonders because I like those polygonal mode type of games where you're trying to place it and form patterns and get points by placing it on your little grid. I liked Foundations of Rome, which is also by Arcane Wonders, but it's such a big box and you gotta take it out. Yes, it's cool, just it's so much. Whereas World Wonders is a nice box, you take it out, you can play it, and it has the cool World Wonders like Machu Picchu and the Colosseum and all that. So it's fun and it's more compact than Foundations of Rome, even though they're similar games.
Legacy of Isla Nublar is our first Legacy game. So had a lot of fun just playing that like a bunch of times. You get different roles for each little mission, so you aren't always the same person in this Legacy game. So I had a lot of fun with that. And then overall, dinosaurs.
But is it on your list because we just played it so much? Because it's a Legacy game, we had to play all of the chapters or rounds?
It could be, but I mean, I'm gonna say I've always been excited to play the Legacy games to see really what happens, like destroying of the cards of the games. You'll never get that back again. It's your own personalized like copy. Now the replayability, yeah, it leaves something to be desired, but I think it's just the journey it took me on that I really liked.
My number 9 is Earth.
My number 9 is Ancient Knowledge. With Ancient Knowledge, I'm a real big like engine building. So you get all these powers and you chain them and it moves down to go to like ruins and everything. So I really like that. I really like, okay, what does this do? And you can like keep rebuilding your engine, but then also like moving things over so that they don't get destroyed or go into ruins and stuff. It's a lot of reading, but you're just like, ooh, a lot of chains, a lot of like, okay, good. It can just keep recycling or renewing your chain or your engine. So that's what I really like about it.
I really like a similar thing with Earth, which is as you're building your tableau and you start a chain reaction, you'll start going through all of the abilities and you can eventually be, I'm gonna do this and then this and then this and then this. But what's great about it is you only have 4 options. You gotta do 1, 2, 3, or 4, one of the 4 different options. And so that makes it so that it doesn't take that long. It has a similar feel of that element of wingspan of when you go down the line and you have lots of good bird abilities. But if you're really building your tableau correctly and you can go bang, 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 it feels really satisfying to get all those points. My number 8 is Paint the Roses.
My number 8 is First in Flight.
So I really like Paint the Roses because it's a co-op deduction game, and we don't normally like co-op games. However, I feel because it's a deduction game and you can't really speak about what you have in certain things, it limits that quarterbacking that you might do because you might end up saying something that you're not allowed to say. So you kind of hold back a little bit. It's kind of like Clue, where you're trying to figure out a mystery, but you're all working together. And I like the Alice in Wonderland theme.
With First in Flight, you're building your airplanes, you're going around the board, and kind of that Parks gameplay where, if someone's on this spot, you either decide if you go past them or if you kind of slowly try and, wait behind them until like they move out of that spot. Once you move ahead and you take a really good spot, then you're like, haha, what are you gonna do now? That's really fun. And then as you're building your plane and you're flying, you're trying to take into account, I guess, the real world aspect of maybe what they went through when they were building planes. So I felt that was a bit of a interesting learning, but not like too heavy on like education and, this person did this.
My number 7 is The Crew Quest for Planet 9.
For number 7, Autobon. With Autobon, you're building your roads, it's pick up and deliver. Everyone's kind of working towards these different goals of like, okay, I'm gonna pick up these chemicals and bring it here. I'm gonna pick up this car and move it over here. And what I really like is for the first half of the game, half of the board is like just closed. So you gotta like build up and do whatever. And then later on, the other half opens up and then it's basically like, okay, it's a free for all. Like, go, like everyone run. It's doing one thing in the beginning, and then like when it finally opens up, then you either were planning for it the whole time or you just freak out and try and figure out what to do at the end.
So The Crew is another co-op game, which is weird. I have 2 co-op games now on my list and we don't normally like it. However, with this one, it's also a trick-taking game. And I really like Cat in the Box as a trick-taking game. And that was when we first really got experience with trick-taking games. If you've seen that video, you know that our experience learning about trick-taking games. You're not allowed to give clues about what you have as far as when to play. So as you're playing, you can't really have that quarterback. And it's a really interesting kind of mind game of playing of when you're going to play the cards or when someone's going to win the trick to get the cards, to be able to meet their requirements and all that kind of stuff. So I really enjoyed that element of it. I think I like co-op games that purposely make it so that there isn't a quarterback. In co-op games, when there's a quarterback, that's kind of why I don't like it, because then I feel like it drains all the fun. Whoever's going to take charge is going to have fun, everyone else isn't. But if you can have a co-op game, we're all working together, so there's not that competition, but we're all working together, but we can't like take the lead. I really like that style of game.
I still don't know if I get it. like you can help me and teach and everything, but still, like when we're playing, I'm like,
Lee's not going to be the one taking charge as the quarterback telling people what to do.
No, not at all.
My number 6 is Steam Up.
My number 6 is Steam Up.
Totally random how it happened. I just chose with my gut. He chose by doing a whole strategy thing. But I really like it because it's dim sum theme, which we like going out to dim sum and eating the food. And this one's really cute, at least with the Kickstarter special deluxe edition, because you have all the little 3D pieces and you put them in the little cookers and then you gotta take them out and you gotta collect them. So it's set collection. We like set collection type games. It's simple. Lots of people can learn it. I really enjoyed it. It's a fun game.
Yeah, I really like how they incorporated like the Chinese zodiac in there. So each one had asymmetric powers and you're just like, oh, okay, cool. I'm the tiger this time. Next, I'll be the ox. Anyone can really play it and you can teach them and it's not too heavy. They're going to have fun too because it has presents too, some table presents where you're like, you spin it around and you can pick from it as if it was like a family style dinner that you're having at like dim sum or whatnot.
My number 5 is 3-Ring Circus.
My number 5 is Alien Frontier Edition X. Now, Alien Frontier Edition X is not like new, but it is new to me. And it does have dice in it, but I really liked how you roll them and yeah, they're still dice, but they're supposed to be like your ships. And you can kind of move around the board and assign which one and you can land. So there's so much to do, and then unlock more ships. So I think there was just so many moves, so many variety. Like I was excited throughout the whole game. Like, oh, what if I try that? What if I do this? It's not like some of those games where if you don't have a specific strategy, you're just going to have a bad time. Someone's just going to take off with the lead. At least the games we played, I didn't feel that. But
3-Ring Circus is my number 5 because I really like the way that you move around the different boards and you try to set up your circus at the different spots. You try to get there before somebody else, unless you're in one of the big cities, and then you want to have all the performers that you need. So I like that you're either getting your performers, playing your performers, or moving around and trying to go to the different cities to get the points for being in the regions. And I really like how the P.T. Barnum caravan moves around and it speeds up because it skips over the towns with the circus tents. So in the beginning, it's going town to town to town, but as it's playing and it meets other players' tents, it'll go boom, 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 boom. So it really builds that momentum towards the end. My number 4 is Stool Pigeon.
My number 4 is 3-Ring Circus.
So I really like Stool Pigeon because it's really simple. You have 4 cards in front of you and you want to get the lowest score. You'll draw a card from the deck and then you switch it out with one of the other 4 and then you can get the ability of the card as you discard it. I really like that mechanic. I think it plays fast. I think it's a nice bluffing game of when someone's, all right, I'm going to knock and I'm going to start the end game and see if I can get the lowest score. And then at the very end, someone either can screw you over by switching out your cards, or maybe you took a chance. You're like, oh, I don't know what these 2 cards are, but I'm just going to knock now and hope that they're small. And then you turn them over and they end up being like 10s and you're like, haha. So I really like it's fun. It plays quick and you can play it multiple times. And every time that we've played it, people always go, oh, let's play it again.
So 3-Ring Circus is number 4 for me. Yes, it's fun and everything. I almost partly think there's psychology behind it too. Like I waited in line, like I ran to it. Like maybe that's why I just feel more invested in it.
Sunken cost.
Yeah, the sunk cost, the cognitive dissonance, whatever it might be. But it's like the game's just fun. I really did feel like I was a circus ringleader trying to like bring my circus around. Like, do I go to this town? Do I go to that town? Just as you brought it up too, I do really like when games do like AI very well. So how P.T. Barnum was going, he speeds up, he slows down. It gives you that like urgency or that rush, and you're I gotta hurry up. He's gonna run to the end, and you know that is influenced by the other players too, and by how you play and put all your circus tents out and everything. So you know I really like that like urgency when you're just keeping an eye on just an imaginary person that's not there, but you're like slow down, but you know they can't hear you.
Number 3 for me is Carnegie.
Number 3 for me is Distilled. For Distilled, you know, for our game nights, we're no stranger to knocking a few back while playing games. And
Us?
Yeah, I know. Who would have thought? But with Distilled, you know, you're kind of this distiller. You're trying to build up your distillery. You go through that, and then this touches on it again. That whole learning, like, oh, is this how they distill? You need some grain, you need some water, you need some sugar, things like that. It just like, oh, okay, here's the process. Take the top off, take the bottom off, throw it away, or put it back in. You know, you put them in jars, you put them in barrels, and as you're aging things, there's so many mechanics in there, and you know, it's a set number of rounds. So you know exactly, okay, I better start aging something there, or I better start getting that liquor, or start making it now, or else I'm not going to be able to get the point. So everything just flows together very well, or just combines, and I really like what Paverson Games did with that.
Carnegie is my number 3 because I really enjoyed all the different aspects that are involved with it. There's a lot to think about while you're playing. There's the main board that you're trying to put your different pieces on. Plus you have your factory. And I really like the little rooms that you can build up in your factory. And each player can choose the different ones and kind of build their own thing, choose your own adventure kind of style. And as you're doing that'll give you different actions that you can take on your turn. So everyone kind of starts off with the same abilities, the same actions that they can take. But as the game goes on, certain players may be able to start doing more. I really like that when everyone kind of starts on the same footing, but then as you play, depending on which strategy you're going to take, you may be veering off in a different course, and you may end up having a different layout, but the points are still going to be close and still going to be a nice, fun, dynamic game.
The one thing that really stood out to me that I really liked, and it's minor, the little meeples, right? You like lay them down and you stand him back up, and it signifies something like, oh, okay, he's exhausted, he's been working too much, and you stand him back up when he's ready to go and work again. I'm like,
get back to work.
Get out. You're just the overlord, like, get back to work.
My number 2 is Distilled.
My number 2 is Wayfarers of the South Tigris.
The thing that I really like about it is you have that different options of strategy as you're going through. You can just keep making the liquors each time, or you can try to make one that's going to take several rounds, and you can add it to a whiskey barrel and let it age and try to build up your points that way. So I like that there's different strategies. Kind of have to have something aged in order to really score the same amount of points as everybody else, but maybe depending on which other ones you make and depending on which of the different spirits you have available to you that round, it could change the whole dynamics of the game. So I really like that there's so many different options you can have while playing the game.
With Wayfarers of the South Tigris, this is one of those games, personally, I believe, that I played it, and whether I'm good or bad at it, this one made me actually want to be like, no, I want to get good at this game. So I actually bought my own copy, and I have my own copy at home that I kind of like every now and then I'll break it out. I'm like, okay, how do I get good at this game? That doesn't mean I do get good at the game, but it's motivated me. You can build left, you can build right, you can build up, and it just add on to a bunch of things. So I like how all the mechanics go together, and then the different powers that you can activate. Yeah, it's dice rolling, but that's okay. There's plenty of ways to mitigate. I think every way that they did it with the workers and whatnot, it's just very impressive, and I'm still bad, but look what it did to me.
My number 1 is Wayfarers of the South Tigris.
And my number 1 is Icky. The only reason Icky came on my radar is because I saw it as one of the finalists on the Canterspiel de Jar. I'm really glad I got it, or it got introduced to me, because it's very fun. You're going around the little market, a fire could break out at any time. But what really impressed me is you have your workers, and eventually you're a kind boss, and you can let them retire and just bring another worker in. They can get you some bonuses, or kind of engine building-ish. The other players can decide if it's a really good one, they'll stop at your stall, and then they can retire sooner and you'll get the max bonus. It's just really fun to me because it's a temporary engine building. I don't know if I'm using that right, but it's temporary because you're so kind, you let them retire and then you do it all over again. However, I think the biggest thing is just there's that fire. And if you can put your stall next to someone else who might be either strong enough to protect you from the fire, you don't have to worry about the fire that much.
So I really loved Wayfarers of the South Tigris the first time that I was learning it, and then we started playing it, and we played it again and again. Every time that we were like, oh, we have about an hour, what should we play? Oh, let's play Wayfarers of the South Tigris. And this list for me, it's been kind of like 2 co-op games and now a dice rolling game. It's like, well, what I like about this game is that you have the dice, and yes, in the very first round, first couple turns, the dice can be like, oh, okay. But as you're mitigating, you decide what your numbers count as. The pips on the dice count as different symbols that you can use when you want to place it. So it's a dice placement game after you roll it, but you can decide what those pips mean. So you can choose your own adventure. So rather than a 1 always being good or a 1 always being bad, you can kind of make it, oh, well, this 1 is actually, as you make it, this 1 could be anything. So it kind of mitigates that whole thing. So yes, it's dice rolling, it starts off that way, but as you build it, you can make it better. And I really like that. The other thing is it has my favorite mechanic in the past year, maybe past 2 years of any game, and that's on the cards where it has the different abilities that you're gonna get, and it'll point to it, and then as you place down the cards, then you're not only looking at, oh, I need these cards for the symbols, you also wanna look at what you're gonna get as an instant ability as you play it. After Us kind of did a whole game just with that kind of mechanic, and I really enjoyed that. But with Wayfarers, I like how it all kind of works together. There's just so much going on. There's a couple things about it that I would tweak and I would try to make different, like the track of how the game ends as it's going around. It's almost kind of forgotten. And as you're going, it's like, oh, the game ended. Oh, I was still doing stuff. So I wish that could kind of be tweaked a little bit, but I still really enjoy so much about Wayfarers of the South Tigris. We have Scholars, and I hear that one's really good too. We just haven't gotten a chance to play it yet, but that'll probably make our list next year. That was our top 10 favorite new to me board games of 2023.
What'd you think? What were your 2023 new to you board games? Let us know in the comments below.
And if you're enjoying our content, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. And if you want to know our favorite board games that we played overall in 2023, check out that video and our link in the description below.
Until next time, I'm Lee.
And I'm Kenny. I go party like a board gamer.